Gerald, I looked up an FBI profile on white middle-aged male podcasters, and you'd be shocked to know they're all sexless virgins. I don't know.
Serial killers?
Also, well, it's the sexless virgin thing that turns us into serial killers. That's what it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a brand new episode of Two Peas on a Podcast where we review the latest and sometimes greatest movies every week. Gerald is here, trapped with my co-host, the butcher of podcasting, Nicholas. How are you, brother?
I'm trapped at a Nepo Baby concert.
Wait a minute, it's Nepo.
Sorry. I get all my knowledge from the P's, so
I've been schooled on that.
I get all my knowledge from the P's, so I just wanted to make sure, I if I mispronounce stuff, it's because that's how Gerald taught me, folks.
What is it again? It's Nepo Baby. Nepo Baby.
Oh my God, Gerald.
Yes. We'll talk about nepotism tonight. That's for sure.
Oh my good God.
M. Night Shyamalan is back at it. Last year he did Knock at the Cabin, which I actually quite enjoyed. I know you said you hadn't seen that one.
No.
And this is his next offering following that one up, and it's called Trap, starring Mr. Josh Hartnett, who's in a bit of a renaissance as of late, the last year or two. I was excited to see him turn up here, and whenever M. Night comes up and he has a movie, everybody's like, is it going to be great or is it going to be horrible? Without giving away your thoughts on Trap specifically, where do you fall on M. Night Shyamalan? Do you like his stuff, or do you tend to be more on the other side? Like, what the fuck is this?
He has made two good films, and they were like 20 years ago. Not Split. Split was terrible. Unbreakable and Sixth Sense. That's the other one. Yeah, that's it. Everything I've seen since, and I didn't see Old. I didn't see Knock at the Cabin. I didn't see what was the elevator one where he was like, whatever.
Double.
Yeah, I didn't see that one. Like, I haven't seen a bunch of the ones lately, but I mean, also responsible for masterpieces such as what was it, The Happening with the trees, with the murder trees. Like, yeah. No, I'm so out on Shyamalan as a director. I don't understand how he gets financing to make these things. But I mean, Neil Breen keeps making movies. I mean, even though they have a budget of 17 cents, so somebody's giving him money.
You know, he came out of the gate so strong in the 90s with Sixth Sense, Unbreakable. I thought Signs was terrific. I think that may have been his third film. I also really liked that one. And, The Village. I mean, he had a couple in there that were, like, good, but you could kind of see the diminishing returns in the kind of creative process. But he's a fascinating character in Hollywood. He really is, because, to your point, he does keep making movies. I mean, he does almost a movie a year. I mean, every couple years there's a Shyamalan movie out, whether he's the director or the producer or whatever. He just produced his daughter's first film this year that we reviewed with Brad when you were on hiatus, called The Watchers, which you could see a lot of his influence in that film, but it also wasn't very great. So he's always like, I don't know, he's just kind of floating around greatness, or why did they give this guy $10 to do anything? You know what I mean? It's just he's a very unique character. I was looking at his Rotten Tomatoes, Nick, and I just want to say and I'm only talking about director, but as a director, he's done 15 feature-length films, and only 6 of them are considered fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, which would be about 40% of his filmography. Trap is another one that's kind of getting a lot of divisive reviews, and you and I will give our take on that film here shortly. Before we get to Trap, we like to start out every review by heading over to social media and seeing what the fans had to ask us this week, Nick, and what we call one big question.
You gotta ask yourself a question.
I have a lot of questions. Number one, how dare you?
How, indeed, Gerald, how dare you? You should be ashamed of yourself. But you mentioned something really interesting. You said the Hartnett-assance, the Josh Hartnett Renaissance. And that's exactly what Amanda said over on the Facebook page. She asked, is this furthering the Josh Hartnett Renaissance that began in Oppenheimer? And obviously, without giving too much away of your opinions on Trap, what do you think? Is another good outing by Hartnett? Are you thrilled to see him again? Is he definitely going to book more work off of this? What do you think?
I definitely think so. I've always been a fan of his, honestly. And when he popped back up in Oppenheimer, There was an episode of Black Mirror that came before Oppenheimer last year that he was also really, really good in. It was like a sci-fi kind of thriller episode that he was in. And, you know, they do those little one-off episodes, are like an hour long. And he was awesome in that, too. He played like this kind of run-down father astronaut character, and it was kind of in the future. I remember seeing him in that and going, wow, that's awesome to see him, but also see him turning in such a great performance. And then when he popped up in Oppenheimer, he was one of my favorite parts. And that movie is littered with like A-list top tier actors.
Right. Yeah.
And I thought he was great in that. I will say, without giving too much away on our trap discussion, I thought he was brilliant in this movie. And I think that if we're talking about Josh Hartnett's resume, I think this is a great performance to put on his resume. And I think it will continue to lead this kind of dad era that he's in. He's got to be in his 40s now, right? I would think.
If not,
I mean,
if
I don't
not
know.
50s.
Yeah. I mean, he's getting up there, but I think he did great in this, and I think that, you know, he turns up in movies like here and there, and I always really like him. I always think he's a great actor. What do you think?
I really like him. Like you said, I had no idea it was even him in Oppenheimer until someone told me. I was like, wait, Josh Hartnett was in this? Who? Like, I didn't even know which character it was. Like, honestly, I was just like, what? Like, honest to God, it struck me that much out of left field because he looks a lot different than kind of heartthrob Hartnett looked. I mean, obviously he looks the same, but I don't know. He just looks like he's matured a lot more. I mean, I guess that makes sense. You know, I don't think this is a bad performance. I definitely don't think it's a bad performance. I think there have been a lot worse that we've seen this year in films that we reviewed on the show. So I don't think this piece, in terms of his performance, in terms of what he brings to it, is going to hurt anything. I'm thrilled to see him getting work, and I hope he gets more work based on his performance in this. I'll say that.
Me too. Over on Discord, our good buddy, patron of the show, always throwing questions at us. We love Julio from the Contrarians. He is
Love you, buddy.
One of the guys that keeps the wheels turning here. He had quite a few questions, but one of them kind of jumped out at me because I'm actually curious of how I would answer this, and I'm going to do it in real time here. I don't really know. I might let you go first, but he says,
"Is this the Flash of M. Night Shyamalan movies?"
No, but he did mention that. But he's doing this thing now where it's the Blue Beetle. So he's saying, "Is it the Blue Beetle of the Hartnetissance?" But we're not going to answer that. He says, at this point, what would make you give up on Shyamalan? Or if something already did, what made you come back and why? I know you said you weren't a big Shyamalan guy, but when you see that he has a movie coming out, do you have that little glimmer of hope? Like, ooh, maybe this will be the one that's Return to Glory for him? How do you feel about that?
No, emphatically no. It was Glass that took me out on him. Absolutely glad. I mean, McAvoy gave a great performance in Split, but I hate that film. I think it's so poorly written. I think the protagonists are so poorly written. They're written to be really, really, really stupid, which is the only reason that McAvoy's character is able to do anything to them in the film. And like that, like it was, and then you see the sting at the end of it where Bruce Willis is his character from Unbreakable, and it's like, oh man, they're gonna make another film in the Unbreakable thing, and they're gonna close out the trilogy of it. And Glass, I mean, we talked about it last week when we talked about whatever we talked about, Deadpool, Wolverine, or was it last week or was it week? I can't remember what it was.
Last week was Deadpool, yeah.
Yeah, we did talk about it recently though, where Bruce Willis dies in a mud puddle. And
that was
everything
last week,
like
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Glass was so bad. Like, that was it for me. Like, I checked out on him after that. I wasn't even, like, going into Split. Like, everybody raved about Split. Everybody said Split was this masterpiece. It was so good. Shyamalan's back. Shyamalan's back to his pure form or whatever else the case may be. I know I'm on an island with that film, as I am with a lot of films, but I really, that film itself, like, take McAvoy's performance out of it, I think that is an unfathomably bad film. I can't believe people rate it as highly as they do. And like I said, Glass for me was it. Glass was it. I was like, no, you know what? I don't care about anything. And this was, I hadn't even seen The Happening before I saw that, because we watched The Happening, I think it was Julio actually.
Yeah, we did it for a live stream.
Stream, yeah. We did it for live stream one year. I hadn't even seen it up to that point. That was after Glass came out. And I was just like, I mean,
that was
that's
laughably bad.
Talk about a bad movie masterpiece. I mean, I as a bad movie, it's glory of glories, man. But man, yeah, no.
Well,
I've been out on him for a long time. I don't care. I see his name attached to something. I'm just like, I really don't care.
But see, I'm not though, and I don't know why, because he has disappointed me a lot more than he's surprised me. And not since those 90s, early 2000s films that we mentioned. I mean, Sixth Sense is an all-timer, but even that one, the rewatchability is obviously super low because you already know what happened. You already know the twist, unless maybe you're watching it with somebody else for the first time and you want to see their reaction or whatever.
I
But
don't think the twist isn't what makes The Sixth Sense good. A lot of people like to say
no,
that. I disagree
no.
with that assessment of it. I think it's still a really good film, even when you know the twist, because you can go back through and you can pick up all the little nuggets that you missed. It's just really, really well constructed. It was constructed with a lot of great thought, and
Toni
I
Collette
really
is
love
awesome.
that about it.
But to answer Julio's question about when I'm going to give up on him, I don't know. I mean, I kind of, what's weird is that he's that type of filmmaker where it's like, I'll give up on him, right?
Yeah.
Because I'll see something and I'll go, what the fuck was that? That was,
Yeah.
I was so pumped for that. The trailer was amazing. And then I'll be like, fuck this guy. But then the next movie will bring me back. And he kind of does that where it's like a roller coaster thing as a fan. And like I said, I liked Knock at the Cabin last year. I wasn't like blown away by it, but it was probably like a 6 or 7 out of 10 for me. And I thought it was really well done. Dave Bautista gave a great performance, and it was one of those few Shyamalan films that didn't rely on like plot twists and like all these different curveballs. It was a much more straightforward kind of like thriller.
Right.
And without getting into trap, I kind of like that because then it was like subverting my expectations where I was expecting all these different plot twists, and he just told the story, which, that one was based on a book, so that might be why. But it was a lot more straightforward. But, with Shyamalan, it's just really weird, man, because you'll see these trailers, even for Trap, for example. You'll read the synopsis and you'll go, man, that is a fucking killer idea. Like that, like on paper, Shyamalan never misses. Like if you like read his like summary of like before it comes out or whatever, you're like, man, that's a fucking great idea. Like I wonder how they're gonna do that. And when I saw this trailer initially, and I'm like, oh, okay, this dad's trapped at a pop concert with his daughter, and it's like a trap. That was really appealing, and I thought, okay, and to see Josh Hartnett as a serial killer is something very different. We'll talk a little bit about the marketing and how they kind of gave all that away in the trailers and stuff. I don't know if that's something that necessarily should have been done that way, but again, I think it was just trying to tell a straightforward story, not necessarily like trying to figure out who it was or whatever. So we'll get there. But Julio, to answer your question, I don't know. Like, I will say that I haven't given up on him yet, which is strange.
I'm gonna add an addendum onto your answer. You're never gonna. If you haven't by this point, you're never gonna. You're always gonna hold out that glimmer. It just, for some reason, there's just some part of you that still clings to all the glories of the past. That no matter what, you'll still put a butt in a seat to see whatever. Like you would have seen this. I think that's the difference between us. You would have seen this. If not for the podcast, you still would have gone and seen it anyway because of Shyamalan, because you wanted to see it. I wouldn't have touched this with a 10-foot pole unless it was for this show. Like I'm so out on him, I do not care.
But what if it was a further question that I guess to ask you as somebody who's out on him already? If you saw a movie, okay, let's say you saw a trailer. You go to the movie theater, they play a trailer, and you go, man, that looks great. And you in your head as you're watching it for the first time, and you're thinking, man, that's gonna be I like that premise. That's gonna be really cool. And then at the end, you see directed by M. Night Shyamalan. Are you still like, I need to see it, or are you like, well, never mind, I'm not gonna see it now?
Okay, well, first of all, they don't design M. Night Shyamalan trailers like that.
I know.
They immediately, right from the get-go, tell you it's from M. Night Shyamalan.
That's why I phrased it the way I did to like.
Number two, like the first time I ever saw the trailer for this was when I saw Deadpool and Wolverine last week. Like I hadn't seen the trailer for this before, and I didn't know we were doing it for the show. So I saw the trailer for it. I was like, oh, that's a neat premise, but it's Shyamalan. He's going to screw it up somehow, so I don't care. And then I found out we were doing it on the show, like when we did Deadpool and Wolverine. Well, I'm like, well, now I guess I got to try to care and go to the theater and go to the theater and see this Shyamalan movie. So,
all right, well,
like I said, number one, they don't design Shyamalan trailers like that.
I know that.
But even if they buried the lead completely, like even if. It would have to be a scenario, Gerald, where they don't put his name in the trailer at all, and they don't run the credits that he's the director until the end of the movie, and I had no idea. Like, that'd be the only way.
That's how far removed you'd have to be from it.
That's how far removed I would have to be from it to go into the movie without that taint on me of, great, Shyamalan's at it again. Oh, boy. Let's see what he's got now.
Well, now I'm wondering do you think, without giving your score or anything away quite yet, do you think that made this harder for you? why, in other words, like if you're reviewing this movie and not his involvement of it, do you think that made it tougher for you knowing it was a Shyamalan film?
What? No, and I mean, like,
Okay.
I'm being hyperbolic, like I always do. Like I always, and audience, think what you want, but I always go into films with an open mind. I always want to love every movie I sit down in
Sure.
the theater to see. I always really want to enjoy every movie I sit down in the theater to see. You know,
Sure.
has he let me down a lot in the past? Yeah. Am I skeptical sitting down in the theater before the credits roll that I'm gonna walk out really raving about it or really loving it? I'm like, he's let me down more times than not. So.
Right.
You know, but I always sit down in the theater hoping to love a movie. I don't care who made it. I don't care who directs it. Like, we've got stuff coming up on the slate that I'm literally like dead, like not excited at all for. But I'm still gonna go in. I'm still gonna give it the old college try, man.
I hear that, man. I'm kind of with you on that. I was like skeptical because that's what you kind of have to be with Shyamalan films. You really do. But
You kind of do. You're not wrong.
I was just hopeful. I was hopeful. Let's talk about how we actually felt, though. So, thank you for one big question this week, guys, for submitting all the questions. Keep at it. Check the show notes, Patreon, Discord, Facebook fan page, all kinds of stuff that you can shoot questions at us, and we will answer them each and every week on the show. And another thing we do when we get into the actual review of the feature film is we give our scores out of 10, our individual scores to each other, and we have not discussed it yet. It's what we call the early score reveal.
Damn it, this always happens. I think I'm gonna score and then I never score. It's not fair.
So let's see if this was Master Shyamalan or if this was student filmmaker Shyamalan. Let's figure it out here. All right, count us in and we'll reveal our score out of 10, Nick. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Where are you at, buddy? Wow.
A 5? A 5 is the most generous thing I've ever seen, Gerald.
Wow.
A 2 out of 10, ladies and gentlemen. This,
So,
I mean, I can't even fathom. Ooh, man.
a 5 from me, a 2 from Nick is a 3.5 overall on M. Night Shyamalan's Trap.
This might be
30,000
lower
fans.
rated than Roadhouse was, because you rated Roadhouse pretty high, right?
I rated it a 7 and you rated it a 1. So, yeah, this one is lower because that would have been a 4. Yeah. 30,000 fans, 300 cops, 1 serial killer, no escape. A father and a teen daughter attend a pop concert where they realize they are at the center of a dark and sinister event. Nicholas, spoiler free. Let's don't spoil Trap for anyone quite yet. You hated it. Where did it miss for you, man?
I'm just going to play this for you, and I hope that this can very succinctly sum up all of my thoughts on the movie. I don't know if you'll be able to hear this or not, but hopefully you will. Here we go. Ready? Did you hear it?
No, I didn't. You'll have to tell me.
I'll have to just tell you. No, so I played the Spaceballs clip where Dark Helmet says evil will always triumph because good is dumb. Remember, Gerald, when I talked about Split, why I hate Split, why I really think Split is a terrible movie? This movie's written just like Split is. In order to make Hartnett's serial killer butcher character succeed, every character around him makes the absolute stupidest decisions literally every single time. And there are scenes in this movie, we can't talk about them until we get to spoilers because there's a lot of stuff to spoil in the movie. There are scenes in this movie that just are mystifying, absolutely baffling to me that they were done the way that they were done. This Shyamalan, let me tell you, loves, and I mean loves, the tight close-up, ladies and gentlemen, of everything. Half of this film, it's 105 minutes. Half of this film is shot in like very close up, like very uncomfortably close. Even mundane scenes that really don't need it or shouldn't need it, they're really, really uncomfortably close. And then, Gerald, I made a joke about it at the beginning of the show, but like, I mean, we haven't seen Nepo baby stuff this bad. Like, this is Kevin Smith with Harley Quinn Smith levels of bad. This is Will Smith with Jaden Smith and After Earth levels of bad. Like, this whole movie is like, it basically just feels like an excuse to shove his daughter's pop music down our throats.
Sure, yeah, Lady Raven, huh?
Like, she's not a bad singer or anything. Like, she's she's an attractive woman and everything, but I mean, why? I mean, really, why did it? Why? Like, because that's all it smacks of. That's all I could think of the entire time was like, oh, good. This film is just a vehicle for you to shove your daughter's pop music at us. Like, good.
Well,
Thank you.
I think to your point there, I think that regardless of what the music was or the person performing it, if that hadn't overshadowed the plot that was going on in the crowd, which it did at times, kind of frustrated me a little bit because it shouldn't have mattered if it was a rapper or country music or this
film would have
girl
sucked
or,
no matter who it was. Let me put that out there. You could have put T Swift up there, and this.
That's what
this
I mean.
film,
yeah.
Well, Gerald still would have given it a 10 then, but like this film
yeah.
still would have sucked no matter who the performer was. But the fact that he made it his daughter, like, and you know, kudos to her because she wrote and performed all the music that's in the movie. Like,
I will say she was a much better musician than actress.
oh yeah, no, just not a good actress at all.
We'll get there. We'll get there in a
good,
minute.
yeah.
But for me, I didn't hate it. Okay, I know you did. I didn't hate it, but I think the reason that I was on the it's mediocre versus I hate it kind of fence is because of Josh Hartnett. I mean, I loved him in this movie. I love the delicate balance of like this awkward dad who's trying to remain relevant and cool with the different lingo, and he was a good dad seemingly to his daughter in this film, which kind of mirrors what we're talking about too with Shyamalan and his daughter, right? So it's a very personal story probably to Shyamalan when he wrote it. You can kind of see that he's a family man, that he's a great dad, and he was kind of writing that as well. But then to put that Shyamalan signature kind of like creepy factor into it, he's a serial killer on the other side. And he's kind of dealing with his past and the things that made him, you know, arguably turned him into a serial killer, the butcher. So I loved Hartnett in this film, and I think that had it not been for his performance and really going all in and really dedicating himself to that role, I would have hated this. But I just kind of fell flat on me. The last act is a fucking mess. Like once they leave the arena, I mean, first of all, the arena stuff I liked a lot more than once they leave the arena, but it was meandering. Like it was a lot of her performing. It was a lot of him leaving his seat kind of inexplicably and leaving his daughter there by herself in this 30,000 person stadium, which I would never do. You know, maybe to go to the bathroom or something, but I'm not going to like leave. I mean, he was leaving every 10 minutes to go do something, you know, investigate or do whatever. And we'll get into it here shortly. But it was meandering. It took forever to kind of get through the concert. You know what I mean? Like it felt like it was kind of going on and on and on and on. And then we finally get to the climax at the arena, but it doesn't stop there. And then when it leaves the arena, it just fell apart for me personally. We'll get into why when we get on the other side. But I just hated the last act of the film, the last 30 minutes or so. I did hate. And that really, I was probably riding about a 7 before they left the arena. Like I kind of like Hartnett's performance.
I was probably riding somewhere in the middle, like probably right around a 5. Like it probably wasn't over the passing line for me yet before they left the arena, because I think that there's some good enough stuff there. I do think you're exactly right. There's just extended shots. This is only a 105-minute movie, but they're over and over and over during this arena sequence. There's just extended shots of his daughter on the stage singing songs.
Exactly.
That's literally all it is. It has nothing to do with the plot of the film whatsoever. It's just and that's why the nepotism of it reeks so badly. I mean, like I get it. Your dad's a famous director. Like, hey, be in my movie. I'll promote the crap out of your movie. Okay, fine. Like, you can't blame her. Like I blame 100% of this on M. Night Shyamalan. I do agree with you about Hartnett. I think Hartnett's easily the best thing about this film. I think his performance is easily the best thing about this film. It is not enough to save it for me. It's like I said, this is legitimately exactly like Split to me. It's got a good central performance, but it is so dragged down by how. And we got to talk about this in spoilers. So Dan, get in here with the sound drop. And run the promo, and then when we come back, we got to talk about some of the absolutely asinine decisions that some of the characters, especially the law enforcement in this film, make, because it's baffling. Dan, take it away.
All right, guys, welcome back. Nick told you we're getting into spoilers here for Trap, so if you have not seen it, come back to this portion of the episode after you see Trap, and I think Nick and I are telling you not to see it. But if you do, that's when you'll come back to this portion of the episode.
Stop giving this guy chances, please, for the love of... Actually, it doesn't even matter. His movies can bomb and lose hundreds of $millions, and he still lines up a huge budget for the next one. Like, it doesn't matter.
He does. And people keep coming out. I was talking about the Rotten Tomatoes scores on his movies.
I can't believe,
Over 100 million on both Split and Glass. 50 million on Old, which I did not like at all. 60 million on After Earth, which was horrible. What was The Last Airbender, which is easily his worst film? He made 131 million at the box office on that. I mean, people are coming out for these movies, and they are devoted to him kind of telling that next great story that we got in the 90s from him. This was not it. Nick, I'll let you go first, man. I know you want to rage a little bit here about some of the logistics and where this movie kind of... So, what about the arena stuff, aside from her performing? Because I think we both agree that was way too elongated. We knew that the daughter was the super fan, right? Like, we knew that. You set that up. We understood that. Everybody at the concert was like, basically Shyamalan's version of Swifties. They're all, freaking out and crying. And you had enough establishing shots for us to figure that out. So, for me, the arena stuff fell short because we weren't focusing enough on Josh Hartnett's character and kind of what he was going through. And we didn't get enough backstory with the FBI agent that was chasing him, which was weird that it was kind of an old lady. I don't know, that was kind of weird to me, too. I don't know. Go ahead.
I'm not an FBI officer. I've never been on a serial killer case, but I don't think they just bring along the old random FBI profiler, serial killer profiler. They don't just bring the profiler along to try to find the killer. Like, that's what the SWAT teams and the FBI and all the guns and all that kind of stuff are for. Like, they don't need to bring the profiler along with them. And then, like, why was that character in the film at all? Like, I don't understand, because she didn't really do anything.
You know why?
Why?
To be that mother character in the last shot, which I hated. When he heard his mom's voice. Well, yeah, but I mean, yeah. But I'm saying that's why, though. She was a very motherly, like, visually. Like, she was very motherly and kind of mirrored his mom. So I think that's why. Yeah,
okay, I'll buy that. But, like, I mean, like, they go through these rigmarole. Now, I will say, like, I don't often like to try to rewrite, because I've written screenplays, but none of them have ever done anything. They just sit on my hard drive, but like, I won't pretend to be a better screenwriter than M. Night Shyamalan, but I think this movie probably would have been better if it would have been, and now it wouldn't have been like an all set in one room kind of movie, but all set in one location kind of thing. If they would have stayed at the arena the whole time, and it would have just been about him trying to escape the arena, like, literally the whole time. And then how he got thwarted at different attempts and how these kind of different things happened. But again, Gerald, this is the thing that pissed me off about Split so much too, is like, he walks in, he randomly shows up and he steals an employee's badge. And then he walks into this back room where they're having a whole SWAT team meeting, Gerald, and he just stands there and listens to their whole investigation, like, unfolded. Like, he's just
and nobody thinks to be like, "What are you doing?"
Sight.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody thinks to be like, "What are you doing here?" They were supposed to be a password. They were supposed to ask him. Nobody asks him the password. Like, he just walks in there and he's walking through all of them. Like, none of them are like why would, if you're the police, Gerald, and I've never been on a big sting operation to try to catch a serial killer at a concert, okay? But why would you not, if you're gonna do that, why would you not have a whole staging area that's no employees, nobody, cops only are going to be staging here. We're going to be doing everything here. Why, Gerald, would you have, like, any employees? Like, why does the random t-shirt selling guy know that they're trying to catch a serial killer at the concert? Why is that information you would even give to, like, a base level grunt employee at this concert? Why would they even know that?
Let me even go even deeper for you, or even simpler for you. We find out later on in the film, once they leave the arena, that the reason the FBI knew he was going to be there is because they found a portion of the receipt at one of his safe houses where he kept his victims.
Right.
The receipt didn't have the seat number on it. Or, like, what section he was in. You know what I mean? Lower level, like, nothing.
Well, okay,
that's first of all. And then, like,
one step even further, but we find out that the ticket stub was planted at the safe house by his wife,
right?
Who was suspicious that he was a serial killer, but couldn't prove
didn't
it.
tell anybody. Yeah,
Didn't tell anybody, but then decides to plant the false like piece of the receipt or whatever, but not the part with the seat number or whatever on it. Or calls the police anonymously. It, like when they're listing off like potential suspects, they got like literally every type of male under the sun. They got African Americans, they got Asians, they
older,
got age ranges like 40 years or whatever. Like, why would you not, like, if you're gonna go to the lengths of doing all this kind of stuff, why would you not just slip like a little anonymous photo of him in the mail and be like, this is the butcher or whatever?
It's just foolish, you know. Like, and another thing I was going to mention that goes along with that receipt thing that didn't add up for me at all is like, if you're there and you're not letting any male leave, remember they have that thing on the radio where they're like, women and children can leave, but no men can leave. We got to
literally
he's here
no men,
somewhere. So it's like, all right, you're going to interview like 10,000 men or whatever it is. And it's like, how are you going to know? You don't have any DNA evidence. You don't have a picture, right? You only have a portion of a receipt. So how are you going to know who the butcher is?
Yeah.
But, you know what I mean? Like, the butcher obviously can evade you by, like, lying, basically. So the whole thing was just really weird to me. And then when they get off the premises and Lady Raven ends up trying to like thwart his plan decides to go head on with this guy, like
we haven't even gotten to the absolute shit show that is all of that stuff that happens in the third act of this movie.
What?
But like, I mean, to take it even further, I mean, he steals a walkie-talkie at some point. He steals an employee badge. Why are none of these plot elements that ever come up again that's like, we know he's got a radio, we know he's listening to us, we know he can hear us, or why do we not, like, you know what you could have done, Shyamalan? You could have written the police to actually be intelligent and realize that a radio was gone and then lead him into a trap at the arena. Like, that could have been how they ended up catching him in the end, because they found out he stole a radio and they kind of fed him false information to lure him into a trap. The name of the movie. Like, why was none of that kind of stuff considered? Instead, it was just like literally the dumbest kind of stuff ever. And then, like, can we shift now, you know, to the M. Night Shyamalan cameo, because he's got a cameo in all of his movies.
Yeah. Mm-hmm, yeah.
Do you know if Gerald, as a Swiftie, okay?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
If there was a moment in a concert where you know that the singer is going to pull one lucky person up on stage to dance with them and sing with them and all this different kind of stuff, do you have any idea the sob stories that some random schmuck who works for her crew would hear, including my daughter got cancer and all this different stuff? Literally, he would have heard that story 10,000 times that night. Like, and then Gerald, he goes up on the roof at one point where they actually do ask him the password. That's the only time it's relevant in the movie. And he only gets out of it because of Deus Ex employee wallet. He just happens to read. They're like, oh, can we see your card that we gave you at the movie?
It was there in the apron that he stole.
He randomly reaches into the apron and randomly finds the wallet, and randomly the card just happens to be in it. Like, oh,
that was so, like, talk about convenience and screenwriting. You know?
Deus Ex wallet, baby. I'm telling you.
Oh, my God.
I mean, it's just, and here's the other thing. Like, if there's anybody acting suspicious, again, you're trying to catch a serial killer who, according to the ancient profiler, is really going to be good at blending in, at not trying to cause a panic, at really trying to trick people, to convince people to whatever. You see a middle-aged dude up on the roof, and you know your killer is a middle-aged dude. Why are you not apprehending him, like, right away? Like period. Like, no employees should be trusted here at all at this venue, because he could easily impersonate one of them.
Sure. And there's also a point in the movie too, and they were still at the arena, but there's a point in the movie where the FBI profiler says on the radio that he knows we're after him. He knows. I can't remember how they knew that he knew, but she was like, he's going to try to make a distraction. He's going to pull the fire alarm. He's going to do all this shit.
That was her just being a super smart FBI profiler.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying she's like warning everybody that this kind of shit's going to happen, and then it's like when it does happen, they don't pay attention to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, like,
it was.
It's mystifying, like absolutely mystifying. I mean, like I said, like, why on earth would this is a numerous different times this happens during the film where they just randomly, like, he just puts the employee badge on or just walks through. He puts an apron on and walks through, and they're just like, oh, yeah, go ahead, sir. Like, none of these cops have met any of these employees. None of these cops know who any of these employees are. Why would you just randomly trust this employee? You know you're looking for a middle-aged dude who's going to be trying to blend in, trying to deceive you so he can escape the situation. Exactly. And he randomly ends up on the roof where he's not supposed to be because he's just got an apron.
So... I'm with you. The stuff with okay, so everything we're talking about so far is him eluding the law enforcement in the arena. Yeah, we get to, and he gets all this convenient information along the way. You know, he gets all this information about the only exits in the backstage. That's the only exit. That's the only way anybody can get out. I think maybe the concession guy or the T-shirt salesman told him that. And he gets all this kind of information along the way that's going to help him, right, escape. So anyway, we get to backstage, and he tricks M. Night Shyamalan's character in the movie, like you're talking about, her uncle, and gets backstage. A daughter has her moment, whatever. And then what happens is he's realized he's kind of cornered now because they actually are guarding the back door. And he also gets more information that he can use because somebody tells him nobody can leave unless you're in Lady Raven's entourage. Or whatever. You know, he hears somebody saying that. So he has that in his head. So he decides to go into Lady Raven's dressing room. It's just him and her in there, which also would not happen. I mean, I'm just going to tell you right now, some random fan that's backstage is going to go into a dressing room with Taylor Swift, and just the two of them are going to be in there. Because I would be at every fucking Swift show if that could happen.
Any in a movie that is full of the most ridiculous plot conveniences and the most absurd stuff that would never happen, the fact that he just randomly tells this super mega huge pop star, like, hey, can I talk to you for a minute? Goes into her room. There's nobody else in there. Literally nobody else in her entire entourage. And then not only that, she leaves the venue with them by herself. She's not flanked by like all this different number of people in her crew that ride with her, like all this different stuff. Like
just her driver.
Ridiculous
this random fan
to this. Like, dude, it's like, I'm a pop star. I'm Taylor Swift. I'm just gonna leave me, Gerald, and his son. I'm just leaving with these two. Like, just
it's normal. Two. It's normal. My driver's here. We're fine.
Like, she'd have bodyguards. She'd have bodyguards absolutely surrounding her everywhere.
They would run a background check on me in 10 seconds and have fucking helicopters circling me. Okay.
Never in a million years. And again, I cannot stress this enough. The profiler is on the radio, like you said, being like, we're going to interview every single man that leaves this theater.
Right.
No matter what, no males leave this place until we question them. They're not just going to be like, oh, well, his daughter's a super fan, so I guess he can go with Raven.
He's normal, yeah.
Never in a million years.
Never. So he goes in the dressing room, which
I'm so mad.
Me too. I wanted to point out that would never happen. I mean, do you think that I wouldn't have been to every Swift show from here until eternity if I thought I'd have a chance of being alone in the dressing room with her? That would never happen.
That's where it broke for me, Gerald. That's where I knew, like, before they even left the theater, when all that stuff happened with the pop star, where she has nobody with her when she leaves, no bodyguards, no nothing, nobody else is in the dressing room. When all that stuff happens, I was like, oh,
where's the security?
From there, for me, like, I just started getting angrier in the theater.
And that's
I'm
when
just like, you've got to be shitting me.
And that's funny because that's when it gets really bad, in my opinion, too. So anyway, he goes in the dressing room with her. He says, look, I'm the butcher. You're looking for me. Here's this dude that I'm holding captive right now. He gives him his name and, like, some facts about him or whatever. If you do anything, I'm going to kill him. I can press this button and do carbon monoxide, and I can kill him. And, we're leaving with you, and if you say anything, I'll kill him. All right, so which was actually pretty clever. So that's how he gets out of there. Again, it's not realistic because there'd be at least 10 security guards with her to the limo or whatever. But whatever.
Close, dude.
Whatever. So anyway, they get in the limo. They leave the venue. So in my head, I'm going, all right, the butcher's out. He's out of the trap because this is the movie, right? This is the premise of the movie. So he's out of the trap.
Back up.
Go ahead.
Rewind.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Can we also mention, he reveals this information to the pop star. I'm the butcher. I'm the bad guy that everybody's looking for. Right. And I don't know if it's her inexperience as an actress or whatever, But she is cool as a cucumber walking out the venue with this serial killer. Just no problem. I got this. This is all super cool. No problem. Like any normal person. Now maybe she's been around a lot of serial killers. We don't know. They don't give us that backstory on her. But Gerald, any normal person that happens, and then he's trying to get out the venue, they're gonna be dropping bricks in their drawers every 3 seconds.
Well, here's
Literally
the other thing too. Not only will they be scared to death, they're not gonna like go head to head with this guy and like fucking basically challenge him. Like, so where I was lost is I hated the dressing room thing, even though I thought it was a clever ploy on his part to get out of the arena. He gets out. He's in the limo. It's just his daughter and Lady Raven and the driver, essentially. And they get out. They're driving through the streets or whatever. And he, there's a sense of relief on his part that he's out of the trap. And then Lady Raven decides to, like, kind of have this cat and mouse thing with him. And she just out of nowhere is like, can I come see your home or whatever? And, of course, the daughter's a super fan that he's still trying to be a good dad. I did like Hartnett trying to be both
fair,
there.
It's probably one of the only smart decisions a character makes in this movie to be like, and at that point I'm like, okay, well, she's just trying to find out where he lives so she can lead the police back there. I was like, it's smart.
Thank you.
And
Gerald, I'm so glad you just said that because I'm like, that's what's going to happen. He's going to find out the address.
2 acts of a film where legitimately no character has made a single smart decision whatsoever. I'm like, I applaud this one smart decision.
But
even
let me ask you
even
this,
if it's
though.
so far out of left field that
But
this
let me
random
ask you
pop
this.
star is like, I'm taking down this serial killer today. Like, even taking that out of the equation, it is a smart decision.
Challenge accepted.
This is
Me
the
and
thing.
a serial killer.
You have to try to disqualify all this stuff in your head. You have to be like,
You
okay,
have
but
to.
just forget about how stupid this is in
I
order
know
to
she's
give it one
19.
nugget
It's
of
fine.
goodness.
Let me ask you this, though, because I thought that, too. I was like, okay, Lady Raven's a smart bitch here. She's going to be like, what's the address? And the daughter is going to blurt it out, but, of course, he did. But it's still their address.
Yeah.
And the driver knows the address. Hey, we're going to blah, 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 lane or whatever. And then halfway there, she could be like, oh, I can't go. Like, I just got a call. I got to, do all this publicity or whatever. But they have his address.
Or one of the cars with her bodyguards and stuff would have. Oh, wait, no, none of that happened. Never mind. I'm sorry.
Nobody's in danger. Hey, this guy told me he's the butcher. He got out of the arena, but here's his address. Go arrest him. You know what I mean? And that's the end of it. Now, of course, that's not movie or whatever. So, okay. So, another scene. So, I will say this. We were talking about The Happening earlier and a couple other of Shyamalan movies that I would say are like laughably bad. Where it's like you're watching him going, holy shit, this is like fucking Plan 9 from outer space bad. Like, this is like fucking weird. You know what I mean? But I never thought that with this movie until, Nick, I'm going to be Nick level rage on this.
Ooh, I like it.
Until
Give it to me,
we
Daddy.
get to the selfie scene and she locks herself in the bathroom.
Oh, my God, yes.
And she fucking hits up her Instagram followers or whatever to save her. Like, what the fuck? And you've got the butcher on the other side of the bathroom door in his own house and he can't get in? The butcher. He doesn't have a fucking way to get into a bathroom?
He's
knocking for like 15 minutes. She's live streaming her fucking kidnapping. I mean, it's like,
this scene goes on for like 15 minutes. It's not
Oh
an
my
exaggeration. The
God.
scene goes on forever of just him pounding on the door, being like, "Let me in." Like,
and then you
during
hear him
this
going,
time,
"Go to your room, talking to his daughter." You know what I mean?
Like,
It's
during
fucking-
this time, he apparently locks his whole family in her son's room or in his son's room or whatever.
Sure, yeah.
Has time to do all this different stuff while she's literally talking to his victim that he's got hidden in a safe house.
That, and then she's
she's
live streaming to her
Instagramming.
fans.
Yeah, she's literally live streaming on Instagram. Now here's the thing. No mention of where she is.
Nothing.
No mention
And
of
she
the
knows
fact
the
that it's
address.
butcher.
She knows the address.
Exactly. Like, she doesn't even mention the pertinent information. And then, like, literally, there's a serial killer trying to get in the bathroom. He waits until he finally finds the key to the bathroom to unlock the door to get in, instead of
And
just
he's the
kicking in the goddamn
butcher, dude.
door.
He's the butcher who has, I'm assuming, an axe somewhere, which we find
You know what
out
else
later when he's in the car.
He's
with
got feet that he can use to kick the goddamn door in.
So she's trying to save the victim, his current victim that's being held captive. She's in the bathroom. All this pounding's going on, which, by the way, again, she was way too fucking cool in that situation. But
she's cool as a cucumber.
She's like,
again, she's live streaming, like, and they're showing comments on like the live stream. Like,
Nick, hold on.
Nobody on the
Let me
live
say
stream is
this.
like. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Hold on. Let me say this. Philadelphia, which is where this takes place, is a fucking huge city, brother. I mean, this is not like a small town with like 1,000 population. And she's like, oh, yeah, there's a statue of a lion. And then across the street, there's a house with a blue door. Does anybody know that?
Well, not only Philadelphia, but
What?
also, like, there would be so many comments flooding through from all over the world all the time. Like, oh my
Malaysia
God,
and
it's
shit,
Lady
yeah.
Raven. Like, literally, she'd never see those comments. Like, I've watched Twitch streamers where they have a few thousand people. You can't even read the stuff it's going so fast.
No.
Like,
And she's like, and
a
somebody
huge
says
megastar.
something.
Like
Yeah,
never in a million years, never.
And somebody says something in the comments like, oh, there's a blue door across the street from me. And she's like, whoever
Like,
just said
literally.
that. Whoever just said that, go across the street and save this guy. And then Hartnett comes in. 2 minutes later
Finally
and
unlocks
looks at
the
his
door.
phone, and the guy's gone. He's been rescued. Oh, the fucking stream on his phone.
You know why? Because it took him it took him forever
God.
to like, he had to find the key to the lock. He couldn't just
Now,
kick
listen.
the door in.
Now, listen, I will say, and I'm going to admit, I am baffled, and I don't. There's a lot of friends in the community I respect. We respect. JD gave this a great review from In Session.
Yeah,
A lot of people like this. I am baffled that people that are praising the film over like a 5 or a 6 out of 10 were able to get past these logistical nightmares. Like, there were just so many for me where I was like, because this is another perfect example from a Shyamalan perspective that we were talking about earlier, where the premise is awesome. This is a great premise. When I heard about the setup of this film, and kind of like what you said, if it literally was all inclusive in the arena, and that was the trap, and the whole picture took place in that trap,
Yeah.
I think I would have liked it more. Once we got out of the arena, and I think you see where I'm going here, it fell apart. We're not even done yet. I mean, the fucking shit in the bathroom was like, that should be the most absurd part of all this, but it really isn't. I mean,
No, but then, I mean, literally, this thing starts nosediving off of a cliff so hard and so fast, and it's hitting every rock on the way down. It cascades down and gets so much worse by the minute. So after this, there's a scene where he's going to kidnap Lady Raven and take her in the car, and he gets his go bag out of whatever he's hiding his go bag, and he's going to run
tunnel
away.
that he fucking buried to the neighbor's yard or whatever.
We didn't get there yet. We didn't get to the tunnel yet. The tunnel's after that. They get in the garage, and then they get in the car, and she starts like chastising him like she's a psychologist or something like that, like talking to him about his childhood traumas.
Where did
Like,
she get this from? Yeah.
the FBI profiler apparently was like, so this must have been the briefing. I wrote the briefing in my head when I watched this scene, Gerald. Now, if you get cornered by the butcher, start attacking his childhood traumas, because he's definitely got childhood traumas. I've never been in the room with him, and I don't know anything about him, but he must have grave childhood traumas that have caused him to become a serial killer. So you just start attacking that, and you're going to psychologically shatter him to the point where you'll be able to escape, and that's exactly what happens. It is mystifying to me.
So glad she had that briefing. Yeah, so glad she was there for the briefing. So and another thing too about her kind of getting out of his clutches in that particular moment is that it seemed really like easy. Like, I thought
she just gets out of the car.
Yeah, let me ask you this. Now, I'm a dark dude. I'm the horror guy. You see it behind me here. But I thought for a moment, I'm like, the family was standing in their driveway blocking him from driving out of the garage. Remember that?
Yeah.
And he had just had this whole psychology session with Lady Raven. And I thought, he's going to fucking run over his family and take her wherever he's taking her. Like, for a
10 out of
second.
10. This movie would
Yeah,
have been
for
so
like
good.
a second, I was like, "This is gonna be a dark fucking ending here."
If the third
But
act
no,
would have
she
turned
just
in that
gets out of
direction.
the car. She gets out of the car, joins the family, and he says something kind of cliche and stupid. I can't even remember what it was, and closes the garage.
He
and
acts
then we
like
find out.
he's like telling them like the guy's
Oh,
coming to
yeah.
replace the hot water heater. Like he's just telling his honey-do list. Like he's reading stuff off his honey-do list. Like, oh
Don't
yeah,
forget to study for your test or whatever.
yeah, like all this kind of stuff. And then he acts like he's gonna like go in the house and kill himself or whatever. And then Gerald is the
Yeah.
secret tunnel in the pantry to the neighbor's house.
That nobody was able to find. He got there. I'm thinking to myself, he's driving the fucking limo. Great.
Of course, yeah.
You know,
It was
so he's
obvious because why would the driver of the limo get out and then someone else get in?
Yeah.
Like
so
why
he's
would
driving-
why would a different driver need to drive the limo?
So he's driving the limo, and I saw that coming. That was super predictable. And she's like asking for help on the street because people recognize her, you know. How did he get out of that limo? And he was in the crowd. He blended into the crowd. How did that happen, Nick?
Well, Gerald, he
Did I miss it?
In his full SWAT regalia, he managed to take all of that off while all these spectators and stuff are sitting around the car in plain view of him. Because again, the front of the limo is not like blacked out; just the back part of it is. Okay, so like. He manages to strip off all of his SWAT gear in the front seat and then stack it up nicely in there. And then, because there's so many people crowded around the car, manages to just get out of the car and just stand there and move away from the crowd with it. Yeah, it's the dumbest thing. And like
This was not.
you
So
want to
what
compound
happened?
it with even more dumb stuff. Like she's in the back of this limo where there's like all sorts of different implements back there that she could be using to, I don't know, try to smash out the windows and stuff. But like he handcuffs her to the railing and she just like the whole time in the back of the limo is just going tug, 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 tug.
And it goes loose.
Until the bar breaks. Like there's like bottles of champagne back there. Grab a bottle of champagne
Throw it
and
through
start
the
bashing it
window.
on the window. Like, I mean, like, she has the smarts to be like, okay, I'm going to try to roll the window down because people are going to see I'm a huge pop star and be like, oh my God, it's that person.
So do you
know?
see this? Let me ask you this, because I know you're even more out on Shyamalan than I am. So do you see these types of plot contrivances as like those twist moments that he kind of got roadblocked in the script? Because like I'm thinking to myself, in other words, I feel like there was like three after they leave the arena moments where I thought he was done for, the butcher.
Yep.
Like I thought he's caught. And then somehow all three of those he gets out of. And none of them are really explainable. Like I'm like, how did he get out of that? And the car one was the one that was most baffling to me. I'm like, how did he get out of that car with there was like 1,000 people around the limo? I mean, how did they not notice that he was
There's
out of the
1,000
car?
people. There's so many different people. She unrolls the window. She screams, help me, help me, help me. And she's in the back of this limo. And then, like, the driver, like, again, they could see the driver. He would
And
have
don't
had to
forget-
be in the front seat of this limo, stripping off the SWAT gear and then getting out of the car.
And
in
don't
plain view of
forget-
all these people.
And Nick, don't forget, this is after she live streamed to like 1 million people.
Yeah, that she was, like, in
trouble,
danger. And then you
and
could hear a guy beating on a door.
And so none of those people there knew about that, I guess, and knew that she was in danger. I don't know. It's
I'm
just-
begging someone to tell me how anyone thinks this movie is good.
So
this was
me too.
We haven't even
I
gotten
don't
to the end yet.
understand. Okay, so he goes back home, right? And his wife, played by
And I know
Allison
we're
Pill.
spoiling literally this entire thing.
Well, it's the
Please don't
spoilers.
watch it. Just please, for the love of God, don't go see this
I mean, if you're
movie.
still listening beyond the spoil, I mean, I knew this was because it's a Shyamalan movie. Obviously, you're going to spoil shit.
Or go with it with this mindset, like listening to us tear through it like this, and just go laugh at it, because that's what it deserves.
So he goes back to his home. Allison Pill plays his wife. I love her from Scott Pilgrim and some other things. Goes back to his house. His wife, played by Allison Pill's, doing a kettle on the stove, and I'm going, oh God, here we go. You know, he's gonna fucking kill her. Or, I don't know. So he's just kind of sitting there in the cliche shadows of their dining room. You know, like a fucking, I don't even know what. I mean, I could see that Shyamalan's trying to do this Hitchcockian thing, which, I mean, whatever, that's his influences, but, like, it was kind of cheesy at the same time. And I'm a huge fan of Josh Hartnett, and if that's a dad bod, I want it, but why did he take his shirt off during this scene? He ends up shirtless in the kitchen.
Because, listen, You don't
What the fuck
you
is
don't
going
write
on, bro?
you don't write that paycheck to heartthrob Josh Hartnett and not have him take his shirt off. That's why.
He just takes his shirt off and sits at the dining room table.
My guess, what I'm guessing is it was part of his routine as the butcher, like because then
all right.
he wouldn't get bloody. Like it seemed to me like it was part of his routine that he would like take his shirt off so he wouldn't get blood all over himself.
So he was
or
getting
whatever.
ready to do his thing or whatever. Okay,
I think
all right.
he was getting ready
But
to
I'm
slice
like,
her up.
I'm like, hey, we got Harden and shirtless. We're good here.
Once
so
again,
they have
another
a little
character. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say once again they have a little back and forth discussion, but like meanwhile, another character makes a really really stupid decision where he knows the cops have been to his house, like literally all over his house and everything. He suspects that it was his wife that set this whole thing into motion in the begin with, which is the conversation they start having, and then he just straight up like. She's like, oh, let's eat the rest of this pie because whatever. And then he just straight up leaves the kitchen and leaves her in there. Like, because, I mean, again, like, you thought of everything, Mr. Butcher. You thought of everything, Mr. Great Serial Killer Man. But you didn't think that, maybe she would put something. Like, the second that happened, I was like, she's gonna poison the pie or something. She's going to do something to the pie.
Me too. Yeah, I thought it was going to be something to knock him out too. That was also a predictable piece that I hated. I would have rather it not had been poisoned, and like they actually just had the pie together. Like I would have rather that have happened because it was predictable. But like my whole thing with this is that the climax of the film is him being caught by the FBI profiler that somewhat resembles his own mother, and she's doing the thing that Lady Raven was doing in the car, and she's like saying a lot of things as if she were his mother the whole time. Like I knew what that was the whole time.
Gerald.
Yep, I knew what that was the whole time. None of it surprised me. He gets caught, and then
wait, hold, stop, wait.
Yeah.
Now, I beg you, audience, listeners, go to YouTube and watch videos of literal human tanks. I'm talking like absolute beasts of men getting tased one time and they drop like a rock. Josh Hartnett, absolute tank of a man. He gets tased twice, and he just like I've seen like maybe like somebody who's like methed out take it or whatever. He's drugged. His wife has already drugged him, and he's already barely clinging to consciousness. They gotta tase him 3 goddamn times to bring him down.
He is like a fucking. Is like Godzilla in that scene. Like you couldn't take him down. I mean, it was crazy.
It would have been like the only way I would have bought that is if he would have like grabbed like a big giant like testosterone or like adrenaline needle and like plunged it into his heart like in Pulp Fiction, like bringing Uma Thurman back to life, like starts running out the room or something like that. It takes 3 goddamn tasers to bring him down.
2 needles into his balls and fucking adrenaline and just go fucking rogue.
I shit you not.
Oh my God.
I've literally like watched. You can
can't.
watch YouTube videos of people getting tased, like people that are built like brick shit houses getting tased once and it drops them like a sack of bricks.
Oh my
And
God.
this random suburban dad has to get tased 3 times to finally take him down, and he's already been drugged.
And he's just coming at him like he's wide-eyed, dude. Oh my God. Yeah, I didn't like this thing.
And then I think you were gonna get.
Wow.
We got to talk about the ending too, Joe.
Yeah. So that's where I was going. You got me off track there. I'm like sweating from laughing out here. His mother figure or whatever takes him down, and he's on his way to the SWAT vehicle or whatever to get transported to prison. And they let him stop and like fix his daughter's bike. I don't know. Why would you let him do that? But anyway, he fucking puts her bike up and whatever, and and then he goes in the thing, the armored car, and he's driving off. And what we find out is that he did that so that he could get a piece from her bike to use as a pick for the handcuffs.
So back up. We got to rewind again. Again.
Hit me with it.
Because not only is it like, number one, this is a super strategic. The FBI profiler is right there, the one who's like written the book on it, serial killers. Okay, but he they let him stop just to pick up this bike, first of all. Then they don't even bother searching him after he picks up the bike. And it's not just a random piece off the bike, Gerald. He rips one of the spokes off of the tire. That wouldn't just be like a super sleight of hand thing, like you just, like a quick little chit and you pull it right off. They're like attached in there. Like he'd be sitting there yanking on it like trying to rip the damn thing off there.
And
like
by the way,
the
this is
spoke
after he's
off of
been
there.
tased multiple times and drugged.
Yeah, tased 3 times and drugged. And then, like I said, he picks up this bike. They don't search him. Why is there no police or armed guards in the back of this armored vehicle with him? They just put him in the back by himself, and then he just picks the lock.
There's nobody back there with so car in the back.
So, it's the stupidest.
I mean,
like you can't like.
I need to go to a life of crime after watching this. I feel like I'd get away with some stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, if you know what, Gerald, if everybody who was writing the people that were chasing you wrote them to be as stupid as humanly possible and to not make logical decisions, then yeah, you'd get away with murder, dude. Go ahead.
All right, look, you had me off the rails there for about 15 minutes, but let's wrap up on this thing. For me, a 5 out of 10. 4 of those 5 are for Josh Hartnett, at least. I mean, he really carried this material that I think Nick and I have laid out for you is not very good. There's way too many holes, way too many contrivances, way too many suspension of disbeliefs, even for a Shyamalan film. I am baffled. I love my colleagues in this community, but I am baffled by people that are praising this film. I think it's mediocre at best, and that's with Josh Hartnett's performance leading the way. 5 out of 10 for me. Nick, what else do you want to say about this thing?
Evil will always triumph because good is dumb.
Oh man, let me share. So that's just to wrap up, a 5 from me, a 2 from Nick, a 3.5, which makes this the worst reviewed movie of 2024 from the P's, even worse than Roadhouse.
What an
So I did
absolute
win
piece of
something this
shit.
week. I did win
can't.
something this week. All right, so that's our discussion on Trap, the M. Night Shyamalan thriller that I cannot recommend with a straight face. So if you catch it, if you listen to this review, let us know what you thought. Like I said, it's split, no pun intended, down the middle. I think it's like a 49 right now on Rotten Tomatoes. It's half and half. I mean, people like it, people hate it. So we're closer to the hate it side. What we're going to do now, Nick, is we are going to find out what movie we're going to be talking about next week. We are not going out to the theater next week, and what we are doing, because it has been way too long since we shouted out our patrons, is we are going to be spinning the wheel. Now, on Patreon, for as little as $1, you can join up over there. You can put movies in the hat every month, and we will pick a movie to review on the show on the main show. It'll be on the main feed, and then we also do stuff on Patreon here from time to time. So when I spin this wheel, Nick, either the patrons are going to get a pick, you're going to get a pick, or I'm going to get a pick, and we'll see what movie we're talking about next week.
All right.
Did I explain that correctly? I did, right?
I'm sorry, who are you?
What is this? All right, here we go. Let's spin this wheel. By the way, check out. You see this guy? Look at this guy right here. Man, that's a good-looking picture down there.
See, I used to be obsessed with that photo until I got this one at live stream, and now I
Oh, you mean I should change it? I'll change it to that for that one.
Little, that's what we got to have. The tween Gerald with the earrings got to be the one on the roulette. Although sex cult leader Gerald also has his place in our hearts, so it's maybe we should replace my picture on there, or maybe
I should get 2 picks. Maybe I should get 2 picks. We'll put another.
No, see,
we'll put another.
The Patreon, like the official Patreon banner, should just be a picture of like tween Gerald with the earring, maybe.
Well, what I should do is I get 2 picks, and if it lands on Tween Gerald, I get to pick a movie that he would have picked.
Okay.
A movie that 11th grade Gerald would have picked, which would probably be a porno. But we'll see. All right, here we go. Let's spin this thing. 3, 2, 1. There she goes. Oh, boy.
Hey!
All righty.
Patrons.
For the audio audience, it landed on the patrons. So that's the good news. The bad news is producer Dan's got his work cut out for him because now I have to enter all the goddamn movies. All right, guys, we have entered the multiple films that our patrons threw at us a couple weeks ago when I asked for recommendations. I don't even count how many, Nick, but we got at least 20 or so films in here.
It's a lot. Thank you so much, patrons, for
Yeah,
a
you
lot
guys-
of these suggestions, and no thanks to Brad for
We
well,
do.
the very Brad obvious picks that are on this list.
I was going to say, Nick, tell him you knew which ones were his right away as I was typing them in.
Yeah, Nutcracker Massacre was a dead giveaway that it was a Brad movie.
That's for sure. That's for sure. All right, whatever movie we land on from our patron suggestions here is the movie that we will watch this week and then review on the main show next week. Again, if you want to get involved, just check the show notes below for Patreon, and you can hit us up over there for as little as $1 a month. All right, Nick, I'm going to count us in, and we're going to give this thing a spin, man, okay?
Let's do it, baby.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1, and she's off. No Brad, no Brad, no Brad, no Brad, no Brad. That's really close. Deep Cover.
I don't even know what that is.
Deep Cover. Let me see who recommended it first.
I thought for sure we were getting Amelie. It looked like it was.
It was really close. Yeah. Deep Cover. Who
I think I saw Amelie once. Maybe I can't remember. First Man, I've definitely seen. I would have watched that again. It was a good movie.
Deep Cover was submitted by Jason Nerdravert. We love you, brother. He also submitted First Man, actually. So his picks were right in the mix there, but we got 1992's Deep Cover starring Lawrence Fishburne. Let me pull it up on Letterboxd here, Nick, so I can see what we're doing there.
Fishburne. Okay. Sorry, Brad. Nutcracker Massacre didn't make the cut. You should have kept Postocalypse in there.
All right, here we go. Deep Cover stars Lawrence Fishburne, Jeff Goldblum. Oh, that could be good, man. It says a black police officer applies for a special anti-drug squad which targets the highest boss of cocaine delivery to L.A., the Colombian foreign minister's nephew. Russell works his way up from the bottom, undercover, until he reaches the boss. Oh. All right, 108 minutes. I don't know where. It's on Tubi. Brad will be proud. It's on Tubi right now. So look at that. So next week, guys, Lawrence Fishburne in 1992's Deep Cover, a movie that I actually don't think I've seen. I'm familiar with this movie, but I got to be honest with you, I don't think I've seen this.
It sounds interesting.
Yeah, let's check it out, man. It's on Tubi, Nick, which means you got to sign up for Tubi. So
I bet you anything I can find it a lot of other places too.
You're refusing to watch it
on
Tubi?
I literally I can't give Brad that kind of power over me. As soon as I sign up for a Tubi account, he's gonna feel it in the universe and just start sending stuff at me.
He'll friend you. He'll send you suggestions, clips from Nutcracker Massacre. It'll be a whole thing. Yeah.
Why is Amityville Death Toilet not on that list, Brad? That's my question. Where's the Death Toilet franchise?
By the way, we were not. It didn't make the main episode, so let's just say shout out to Jared Taylor, who's a hero, because he put all of those movies that were on the best of 2024 list last year. None of them got picked.
We should honestly
The Beast.
I would love.
Let's do one for Patreon. You want to?
We should do one of those for Patreon. We'll just pick one of those three, and we should do one of them. Or maybe we'll do all of them, patrons. I'll make Gerald do actual work for you guys and make him actually put content out for you.
Let's do I Saw the TV Glow for next week for Patreon. You want to do that?
Yeah, we can do that.
All right, let's do I Saw the TV Glow for Patreon. So if you're a Patreon member, you hear our thoughts on that 2024 film that's been getting a lot of buzz, Oscar stuff, and everybody seems to really have an opinion about that film. So we'll see what ours is. And then on the main show next week, Jason Nerdravert shouted out Deep Cover from 1992. So that'll be the main review next week. And then we'll be back to the theater the following week because Fede Alvarez has a new Alien film, Alien Romulus. I am looking forward to that thing, man. I cannot fucking wait. And I can't wait to make you watch it, make you like it, make you talk about how great it was, how well it was shot. The score, Kaylee Spaney from Civil War's in it. I can't wait to hear your thoughts because I know you're going to surprise me and really enjoy that film.
I mean, listen, the trailer for it is dreadful. The trailer for it's so bad.
What?
It's so bad.
The teaser's not. The teaser's really good.
I don't know if I've seen the teaser. All I've seen is like the trailer with like all the like thousands of face huggers like all chasing stuff around. Like it's overkill.
Dude.
It's ridiculous overkill.
Brother.
I'm not all about it.
Nick, you want them to go see Trap this week? Should they watch Trap? Probably not. Nick, I love you, man.
With a response.
Let's download Tubi and watch Deep Cover. We'll see you next week when we talk about that film from 1992. Nick, I appreciate you being with me, man. Have a great week, and you know I love you.
I got to go deal with all my deep-seated traumas that this film has caused me. Be kind to yourselves. Be kind to other people. Take good care of yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. We love you. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for hanging out with us and spending a little bit of time. Witch peas. We love you. We really do appreciate you. I really mean it. We really do. Thank you.
By the way, after watching Trap, my new goal in life is to get backstage at a Taylor Swift concert because I feel like there's a lot of things that could go my way. You know what I
Get
mean?
through her 75 bodyguards to get within
her-
100 feet of her door, sure.
Dude, if her and Lady Raven share security, I'm in good shape. All right, brother. I'll talk to you next week, man. I'll see you then.